Welcome
Hello,
everyone to
everybody.
Digest and Maven. Welcome everybody to your shows too.
Yes, I've got them linked, and maybe I'll go ahead and try to get them in the down below for everyone. But yeah, so election debrief. I probably, like many of you, I've gone through kind of ups and downs. I mean, leading up to the election, but then also I think specifically with the results. I think if you have understood what was at stake here, you understand that we've really lost a lot. I guess I don't know what to say better than that. I think my biggest concern moving forward, now that Donald Trump has won the election, more or less, I think it's pretty much a given, unless something really crazy comes out, but I don't think it's going to. The scaffolding of our democracy has been systemically weakened for decades, and even more so the last few years, especially during Trump's first presidency. So he's returning to the White House now. I mean, as a criminal, as a rapist, as an alleged, I guess I have to say, alleged child molester. It's there's a lot there with Epstein, but that's all going to get buried now. And he's somebody who's, I just got an unfathomable amount of power now, and it's just quite frankly scary. He can put anyone he wants, like, in the cabinets. The Supreme Court is fucked for the rest of my life, I think, at the very least. And yeah, and I mean, the Supreme Court even recently made the decision that, like, the president can basically get away with criminal acts as president. So, which he already was doing, but now just with that kind of, it's, I don't know, it's scary. It's scary, to be perfectly honest. And I'm sad. I really did hope that it was gonna be okay.
Yeah, no, maybe I'll jump in really quickly.
Yeah.
And as a seasoned citizen, I'll say that in prior years, I've been, a little politically active here and there, and thinking that, oh, there goes the nation because a new president's elected the guy I didn't want or whatever. And this time it was the gal I didn't want. I mean, the gal I wanted didn't make it, rather. And so, but no matter what, the potholes need to be filled up around the neighborhoods. Prices fluctuate high and low. The kids go to school every fall. And so on one hand, life will keep on going, but there's definitely probably the saddest thing to me was the number of votes that are showing up for Trump. And I was hoping that more people could see that perhaps someone who seems to be a braggart, seems to be somebody who doesn't respect others.
Not even his own constituents. He's left them high and dry so many times.
Not even his own vice president.
Like, I don't care about you. I just care about your vote.
And so that theoretically the American system has checks and balances, right?
Yeah.
But like you say, the biggest thing might be the fact that 2 justices might retire, and then the majority of justices will be in place according to Trump's placements.
And so we've lost a lot of checks and balances, period, already. They're gone. If they'd been working, I don't think Trump should ever have been president in the first place, but certainly shouldn't have been capable of running again if those checks and balances were working. So,
especially since it seemed to be just another way to sell coin collection things or Trump mugs or get people to stay in his hotels. It seemed more like a PR stunt. Even as he was running, there were things that were kind of suspect that no other candidates have ever done,
Yeah.
So,
And I don't know what to expect moving forward. I know there's a lot of people who said that, that Trump will set himself up as a dictator and we won't have an election in 4 years. I don't know if I'll go that far. But I do know, like, I don't know if it will matter so much if, in 4 years, because I think Republicans, especially like, behind the scenes, I think the billionaires and the most corrupt, I think they've already kind of got power and they will maintain that power now. I think they've worn away enough of democracy that I think they will have it in perpetuity. So but I do know, I mean, I'm Project 2025, I think, is in full play now. We are going to see the names listed in there. We're going to see people from the Heritage Foundation be given positions of power where they can. So we won't see everything in Project 2025, but they're going to try to get everything that they can. And it will really be up to us to fight on that and just not make it easy for them. I don't want to be too doom and gloom, although to be honest, that's how I'm feeling right now. And so I'm trying to, even the last week, tried to really just pull back and just try to kind of keep my own sanity. And that's fair because I'd want to fight this, but at the same time, I need to um, just make sure I'm taking care of my physical and mental health as much as possible. And allow myself to kind of process these feelings and then wait for, I think, when it's right and when it's in us to to get that momentum back. And I think we can, but no rush. Don't I just want to say this is something I'm telling myself, and so maybe any of you, we don't need to push ourselves immediately, um especially like if it feels, I don't know, just kind of this sinking in our gut, kind of this fear kind of feeling. We need to ground ourselves first. That's the most important thing I think we need to do first. Make sure we're grounded, make sure we are able to be in this for the long haul. So,
That's right. There's a long
and I
game
want to say
ahead of us.
thanks to people coming into the chat. Sorry, go ahead, Jean.
Yeah, there's a long game ahead of us. There's strategies that can be done. There's ways to either fight the things that are the most harmful, and there's ways to point out bad governance so that maybe, the next elections, in every 2 years, there's representatives
Yeah.
elected. And so maybe there could be some changes and
I think
adjustments.
my only hope is for it to get bad enough to finally kind of break through the Republican mirage, but I don't, with so much like disinformation out there, it's just so easy for them to blame Democrats for the things that Republicans themselves are doing to other Republicans. So if that keeps going, then like there's no end to it. I think things can keep getting worse and worse and worse. And those who are hurt the most by it, which it will be everyone, but it will also include the Republicans that vote this way. I don't know. They might just continually think, and because that's already been happening for a while. They feel like the country is in the dumps according to their values, which is a lot of transphobia, homophobia, all of this kind of stuff. So already, just the fact that schools don't pray anymore, that you can't teach from the Bible, you can't teach creationism versus evolution, like all of these things have like just been coming up. And so I just think the only hope I see is that if it gets bad enough, that maybe it'll break through, but I'm not so sure that even that will happen. So but again, I am feeling really awful. Lee, I see you. I see you. I feel it, but the thing we just can't give up. And I think as bad as it is now, I think if we look back in history, there have been much worse times, much more dire times, much more dangerous times. I mean, even if we're going to, yesteryear's fascism, with Hitler and the Holocaust and everything. I mean, we don't know where we're headed. We're headed somewhere there, but at least as of right now, like I'm not legitimately or literally worried that there's gonna be, MAGA Gestapo, like, hunting us out and like, I don't know, maybe we will get there, but I don't think we are. So I feel like as awful as things feel, like our lives are not in as not direct danger, I guess, like it was back then, where you literally be pulled out of your house. But unless unless you're an immigrant, legal or not, if you are an immigrant, I think what Trump's going to try to do. He's going to catch a lot of legal Americans in that net, and they'll be shocked, and especially ones that voted for him and thought, I'm here legally. I'm one of the good ones. I'm not those guys. There's going to be a few of them caught up in the net as well. So anyway, but I don't know. We just what I was starting to say, and what I'll finish saying is that we have to fight. I think for the next generation, it doesn't matter how hopeless because it could be a lot worse. It can be a lot more hopeless. So we're still not at the bottom of the barrel. And even if and when we are, I just think we owe it to humanity not to give up and to be good examples. So
That's
um,
right. We need to, even if the next wave doesn't go our way, we still need to fight for the future waves that
yeah.
are going to happen.
Yeah, yeah. And if we can't see victory in our lifetime, then I at least feel I owe it to those who are coming up, who are growing up now, to at least pave the road as far as I can for them to finish and achieve that victory. So that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah, like for
I guess
example, women got the vote in 1918 or somewhere around there, but they were probably fighting for it for decades before.
yeah.
There were
And that's
people out
another disappointment is that women are just, I think, not doing so great fighting for ourselves and for each other. The female vote has been extremely disappointing throughout this, but I don't know. I think I've said all I want to say without. I think otherwise I'll just keep repeating the doom and gloom. But I did want to talk about my channel again. That I'm really, you guys know and you see, I've been struggling to launch it. I part of that is I did actually decide to do some renaming of it. Initially, it was Dear Pro Life Dad, and many of you have subscribed to that, which I appreciate. But I had some feedback that it is a little bit pointed, that it seems kind of angsty, kind of angry, and so I decided to. I still have that one. But I did create a new one, and I think it's more broad, and I think I'll be able to cover more of the issues around reproductive rights. And it's called When We Choose. So I've got it linked. I'm live streaming to it right now. I think hopefully I can paste it in the. There we go. I put it in the chat. If you're on Dear Pro Life Dad, if you can subscribe to When We Choose, because that one. I guess there's things. I mean, the Dear Pro Life Dad I was wanting to do to speak to my father about the pain and hurt and betrayal that I feel for how he is. But honestly, especially after this election, I just feel like our fathers don't care. Enough men don't care. Enough women don't care. And so I think I really want to focus on not people like my dad who are just so far gone that they'll never get it. I want to focus on people that I think could get it. And thanks, Diamond Dave. Thanks for subbing to it. Um, yeah, When We Choose is meant to just cover. I mean, again, first of all, get to people that I think I can convince. And it covers just the broad aspect, not just things that affect me and how I'm affected by this, but families, mothers, etc. So, and I guess just to recap my position on abortion, because I've had people ask if or say that maybe I'm too polarizing on this, or I'm too extreme in my views, and I just wanted to address that because first of all, it shouldn't be polarizing. It's only polarizing because of where we're at right now. So I think if we were to go back in time, in the church in the early 1970s and say, that black men should be able to have the priesthood, black couples should be able to get married in the temple like white couples, then that would seem to be radical and extreme for then, but that's only because they just didn't see people as equal. And that's where we are now, like not seeing women as equal or as like capable human beings to trust with their own bodies and their own decisions. That is going to be a relic of the past someday. Someday it will be. And if you don't like abortion, if you see it as baby murder, I really want you to think about this. Abortion bans are not reducing abortions. They're actually increasing abortions. Period. That's number one. That's if we don't go into all the other things that abortion bans increase. which all they increase bad things and decrease good things, like democracy. There are studies showing that pro-life, so-called pro-life, which is it was anti-choice, it's control of women's bodies, countries and governments are less democratic, and they tend to go away from democracy when you implement those things. And it's democracy, it's freedom, it's not just our freedom, but it's everybody's. I feel like that's kind of what's happening now. It's not just women being affected by what's happening now. But if it's just, again, just about abortions, pro-life does not reduce abortions, but pro-choice does, because pro-choice cares about bodily autonomy and it cares about consent. And so those, when you really focus on that and you teach that to your children, child abuse goes down, child sex abuse goes down, rape goes down, domestic violence goes down, pregnancy becomes safer, teen pregnancies go down, just sexual coercion in general. All of these things go down when you care about consent and bodily autonomy. And abortions go down. But it's coming from a place of not wanting to control and punish people sexually. This pro-life is about controlling women and punishing. That is the outcome. That is the desired goal. And so I know a lot of people want to say, like, that's not why I do it. I think you should think about that and see if that isn't really why you're doing it. And even if it's not why, it's still what you're going for. So even if it's not maybe the motivation, maybe it's the cart before the horse kind of thing, but altogether, like, it's still a package deal. And you cannot be pro-life without controlling women. And again, I just want to reiterate one more time that you do not reduce abortions, the number of abortions, when you're pro-life. They are increasing. And not only that, but so is maternal fatality and fetal fatality and infant fatality. You're causing more abortions, you're killing more women, you're killing more children. You're also increasing rape and coercion and child abuse and trafficking and neglect and crime and poverty and all of these other things. They are all like a package deal with pro-life. You cannot separate them out. And that's what I want to show, I guess, with When We Choose. I want to show, like, when we choose, like, as in when we as women are able to choose for our own bodies, everything else in society improves, from education, healthcare, families, all right, affordable housing, like healthcare for children, like everything good for children happens in a pro-choice environment. So anyway, that's what I'm gonna hopefully try to really make as clear as possible. So that's it. That's all I have to say. Gina, I'll let you take over from here.
That's right. Well, thank you, Maven, for coming on. I know that the long game is going to require lots of education, lots of outreach, lots of care and concern for everybody, right? Because
Yeah.
you don't just have these ideals so that some people can suffer so that other people can do well. You're trying to reduce suffering overall.
Right.
So I think
And actually, I do one more thing I did want to just to talk about extremism. When people ask me, like, what, and accuse me of being extreme, I just want to take, like, real briefly what extreme looks like on both sides. Because when you go extreme pro-life, right? Again, that's quotes, because it's not pro-life. We're seeing what we see now, where we have states that have no bans, or that have bans that don't include rape and incest. So that's one. So there are states now where a father can rape and impregnate his 12-year-old daughter, and there's no abortion exception for her on the books. Most have exceptions for the life of the mother, but we're seeing, like, in Texas and in Idaho and these places, it's not working. That's why more women are dying, because basically women have to be in the place of actively dying in order to maybe get help to start the process of cutting through tape, jumping through loopholes. And some women just aren't going to have that time, literally will not have the time to get through all of that to get saved. And that's what we're seeing. And if it can be scheduled ahead of time, that is an elective procedure. Even if it's a life-saving procedure, like, no matter what, across the board, if it's open heart, bypass surgery, if it's happening on a basis where it can be scheduled, that is billed as an elective procedure. Elective doesn't mean just for fun, like a cosmetic procedure or something. That's what it means. Emergency means somebody's dying right now, and so we need to do this right now. And This is how you kill women, when you know they're going to get to the point where they're going to die, but they're not there yet. Their organs are functioning fine. They're not in active sepsis or bleeding out actively. Any abortion at that point is not considered for the life of the mother, because she's not dying yet. So it's just really awful. It's just really awful. So that's the extreme. But it gets worse than that, because there are like medicines that women can't get and girls can't get. There was an 11-year-old denied a medication for a chronic condition because it's an abortifacient and she's considered of childbearing potential. Like, they fought it. Her parents got it for her, but initially that's the reason why it was rejected for her to have this, because she was 11. She was 11, but this medicine, and most medicine, fetuses are extremely not unviable, but they're delicate, they're extremely fragile. Almost every medication will have an effect on them. Any effect on the mother's body is going to have an effect on the fetus. Even stress has an effect on the fetus. So it's just there's so many women that will now struggle, I think, to get the help that they need and medications that they need that would be normal, that if you're a guy with this condition you can get. And the other extreme is we're seeing, women being jailed on suspicion of trying to get an abortion. There's been women who had miscarriages who were jailed for abortions or had the police called on them. There's been women who weren't pregnant who were still put in jail because they were thought to be trying to get an abortion, but they were never pregnant in the first place. We've got states talking about travel bans. We've got states talking about like taking the vote away from women, that women shouldn't need to vote anymore. And like, I know it's a small section, but a lot of these people are in power and it's becoming more popular. And like more and more people are okay saying like, I don't think women actually, we don't like how they're voting, so maybe they shouldn't vote. It's just crazy, the level. And this is all like on this pro-life side of just like, women, can we really, like, we can't trust their minds to make decisions about their body or about society in general. It's all the same thing. So there's that. And then I know I'm missing more of, not just, but actually the death penalty. That's something that some politicians, especially religious ones, are calling for, that a woman should be on the plate for the death penalty if she has an abortion. It's just an insane level of crazy. That's what you get when you're extreme over there. And that's what we're seeing in some states. Like I said, there are states where it's not illegal. Well, I guess it is illegal, but it's still, again, a man can impregnate his own 12-year-old daughter and she will have to give birth to that baby. And the likelihood of that killing her or permanently harming her is extremely high for someone that young, but they don't care. They don't care. And when you say like you believe in states' rights, you're saying the state has the right to do that. So you can't believe in exceptions and state rights, because you're saying the state gets to choose. So anyway, so there's all that. But then extreme on my side, I'm going to say that the pro-choice extreme.
What are pro-lifers afraid of about the extremists on the pro-choice?
So what they're doing, which is lying, because it's not true. They're first of all talking about late-term abortions, which are actually after 20 weeks, but they're talking about late-term abortions as if they're 8 months, women 8 months or 9 months or longer, just going, never mind, which does not happen. It does not happen. Women are not waiting this long, because even at that point in pregnancy, even abortion is not as safe as it is much earlier on. So the majority of if something is happening at that point, it's almost always something has gone wrong medically. Late-term abortions, like above and beyond, they're a small portion of abortions, but above and beyond, they are medically necessary. There's an unviable fetus. There's a risk to the life of the mother. But it's those people who need the late-term abortions. They're the ones getting painted as these promiscuous women, just having sex all the time, getting pregnant over and over, waiting till the 8th or 9th month to have an extremely risky, abortion after having already a pregnancy that long, and then just to go ahead and get pregnant right away as fast as they can again, just to do it all over again. It's this really insane, extremely misogynistic view of women that just is not happening. And even worse, they're going even further than that to say that states like New York have legalized kill abortion, post-birth abortions, which is just not a thing. That's not how words work. Like, an abortion is an end to a pregnancy. So if a baby is born, you cannot abort it after it's born. It's just insane levels of lies. But this is what they're afraid of. But that's, again, the truth is that's not what happens. There's no such thing as post-birth abortions. There aren't women, trying motherhood for a month and being like, nah, never mind. I'll take this to the doctor, and can you kill this baby for me, doctor? We'll call it an abortion. We'll medicate it, that it's actually being billed this way to insurance. It's insane. So look, if we go as extreme as pro-choice gets, which is no bans and no restrictions on abortion at all, what happens then? Abortion rates will go down. Women who need abortions medically, for whether something's gone wrong with the fetus or something, with the woman, so whatever's going wrong, they will get the care that they need. Rape victims, incest victims will be able to safely, privately, quickly get the medical care that they need and be able to move on with their lives. We'll see a reduction in poverty. We'll see a reduction in crime. We'll see an increase in educational and health outcomes, both for mothers and their children. Yes, maybe not what they're aborting now, but the children that they already have and their future children. Because again, unlike the stereotype, this woman-hating stereotype that is being put out there, that is just single women that want to be childless and irresponsible get abortions. No, women who want to be mothers get abortions. Women who are mothers currently also get abortions. So anyway, it only will help, because it helps families. It helps stabilize families financially, health-wise, mental health. The children need love and resources, and they need their parents to have those resources. So the most extreme you can get on the pro-choice side is still not extreme. There's not going to be babies being killed up to a month after birth. It's actually going to reduce the infant fatality rate, so more babies will survive. They get to that point. And again, it will reduce abortions overall, because that's what was happening. It was already going down. It's going back up. So just, there is no extreme that's too extreme on the pro-choice side. That's just it.
And so
Period.
when you have all these statistics about crime goes down and abortions go down, is that from countries in Europe?
So no, that was a study done in the United States. We're talking older study. No, that was done specifically looking at the United States, and actually initially trying to figure out why there was like a country-wide reduction in crime, regardless of whether states were red or blue or soft on crime or harsh on crime, and had harsh penalties and stiff jail sentences for crime versus gave people lots of chances. Was it the states that focused on education and states that didn't? Like, it all across the board, it was Roe versus Wade.
So that would be a good show.
The drop in crime started 14 years after Roe versus Wade, and really and started to drop from there. So it's just by not having children and putting more children into a system that's already stressed, or into families that already don't have the resources to either take care of them properly. We're talking physical needs, but also that won't be abusive, won't be neglectful. Because that's where a lot of these things, the gang violence, the trafficking, the child sex abuse, this all happens when you have families that are either broken, or the parents are just so poor they're out of the home because they're working all the time. They can't afford daycare, so they're having to rely on whatever neighbor is sitting home and sits on the porch and can watch your kids. It's desperation puts children in these vulnerable situations where they get abused, where they get trafficked, where all these, and then the cycle just continues to perpetuate more and more. So
yeah,
anyway.
So that'd be a good show to get somebody that's been involved in the studies or wrote a book about things like that, or somebody who's an activist, to go through all those things step by step to inform.
There's just so many. It's hard to even know where to start sometimes.
One at a time, one foot in front of the other. And this is the start for this new paradigm shift that we're in.
Yeah. And people have to care. I think The thing that surprises me is that if people see abortion as baby murder, why don't they know that it's increasing because of their policies? Why don't they know that everywhere that you have like proper sex education, which includes consent and free access to contraception rather than actually going after birth control and limiting it, which is also what the pro-lifers are doing in the United States. When you do all these things, like, you massively reduce abortions using pro-choice consent and autonomy measures than bans. So it just boggles my mind that how do you, if you think babies are being murdered, shouldn't you care about the data that's showing that you're actually causing more to be murdered by your supposed care, I guess? I don't know.
That's right. Well, thanks, Maven, for coming on the show, and we wish you well on your new channel. If you want to post it again in the
Yeah,
chat real quick so that anybody that's just hopping on now can see
yeah.
and
It's
head
when we
on
choose.
over. And so anyway,
Yeah.
yes, this is
We keep fighting. Take your rest, whatever we need, but there's work to do. So,
yes. What do you, self-love, right? You know, take care of yourself, eat properly, exercise, get good sleep, and, get strong to fight another day. That's what I'll say. Thanks everybody for watching.
thanks, Gene.
2 more months left in the year. Probably Santa will still come, I'm guessing, even though Trump has been elected. So anyhow, thanks everybody. Bye-bye.